From the UNC Hussman School of Journalism and Media, connecting Carolina's campus and community, this is Carolina Week.
The results are in. UNC students have chosen their next student body president. Good afternoon. I'm Josh Connor, and thanks for joining us. Sophomore Lamar Richards has been elected student body president. He received nearly 60% of the votes, defeating his challenger junior Kashav Yavadi by 851 votes. Richards is a public policy and psychology major. He's currently the chairperson of the Commission on Campus Equality and Student Equity, and he also serves on the Undergraduate Senate. He says his platform centers on uplifting and providing resources for marginalized groups here at Carolina. 3,321 students voted in the student body elections this year. That's just 11.2% of all eligible voters. UNC Chancellor Kevin Guskowitz has faced a lot of challenges since his appointment, but one of his most controversial decisions has came up for professors asking for him to resign. Reporter Claire Galt joins us live from South Building with the details. Claire?
The call for the chancellor's resignation is over his handling of the university's payoff to the Sons of Confederate Veterans in the Silent Sam settlement in November of 2019. A letter from the American Association of University Professors at UNC said, Interim Chancellor Kevin Guskowitz was either inexcusably ignorant or deliberately dishonest in front of a large audience at the faculty council meeting in December of 2019 when he insisted that we were not consulted about and did not weigh in on the decision. The members of the UNC AAUP are urging him and others who contributed to UNC's pattern of institutional dishonesty to step down. Guskowitz said in a public statement that he was not aware of negotiations regarding the settlement, but he was aware of discussions in the UNC community. Reporting live in Chapel Hill, Claire Galt, Carolina Week.
Thanks, Claire. UNC students will see some changes next year, but on their bill. The Board of Governors met Thursday to discuss tuition rates for the 2021-2022 school year. In-state tuition will remain the same across all UNC system schools, but out-of-the-state students will see an increase by an average of 1.2%. Fees for all students will increase by about 2.2%. There have been many positive COVID-19 cases among students living on campus, but what happens to those students when they find out they have contracted the virus? Reporter Aaron Jenkins introduces us to one student who spent 2 weeks in the isolation dorms on campus.
It was a normal morning when Austin Bean woke up to a text from UNC's Hall Pass showing the results from his COVID-19 test he took 2 days earlier.
Within a couple hours, of me finding out that I was positive for it, they emailed me, with like a big list of, instructions and what was going to be, going on.
In the next hours, Bean relocated from his normal room here in Morrison to across the street here in Horton, where students stay if they tested positive.
The next 2 weeks for Bean were very lonely.
It was definitely a little bit of a hard time, to sit there in that room for a week, not be able to walk around, outside or anything like that. I got a cool video of how empty the building was because I was looking out the window and there's 3 lights on out of all the rooms in the building.
Bean says the university gave him 3 meals a day and plenty of drinks and snacks. The daily wellness check-ins were also appreciated during his time in isolation.
They really did do a good job of making sure that we were getting what we needed and, making sure that, our symptoms weren't getting any worse.
UNC has 3 quarantine and isolation dorms, Horton, Craig, and Craig North. They currently only have a combined 12 students staying in them. In Chapel Hill, Aaron Jenkins, Carolina Week.
The university is hoping to keep COVID rates low by testing students and staff. Reporter Maggie Mayone has more on the web application UNC is using to help Carolina communities schedule and complete their tests.
UNC's Reese Innovation Lab is helping students and faculty navigate mandatory COVID-19 testing with their web application Hall Pass. Professor Stephen King is the Chief Innovation Officer of Reese Innovation Lab in the Hussman School. He says the lab was the ideal spot to make the application.
We're at a place where we have student designers and developers and, alumni who all work on our team, and they understood what Carolina needed. And so we knew that we were in a better position to do it than an outside vendor.
UNC senior and designer at Reese Innovation Lab, Natalie Huggins, says being a student was very helpful in the designing process for Hall Pass.
I was kind of putting myself in that headspace of like, okay, I'm a student still. I'm an undergrad student. I'm going to use this. I'm going to have to be compliant with these like guidelines, and kind of putting myself in the mindset of like, already students are probably not going to want to keep up with something that's hard to use.
As the sole designer of Hall Pass, Huggins wanted to make sure the application was user-friendly so students felt more inclined to get tested. King says the application wasn't for profit, but about helping the community.
This project really was about being a Tar Heel, that the people who were working on this were not doing it because it was their job. They were doing this because this was really important to get done. They gave up their holidays, they missed time with their families, and so this was really an important endeavor. And I think we're all really proud to have worked on it, and we're thankful that it's really successful.
In Chapel Hill, Maggie Mayone, Carolina Week.
Carolina Together has been UNC's main resource for documenting community spread. But as reporter Jasmine Bunch shows us, some off-campus students say the system can be inconvenient for students who don't live on campus.
The testing system has been UNC's main line of defense in keeping campus as safe as possible amid the pandemic.
The Carolina Together testing program will be done according to the testing schedule.
How often you test depends on your circumstances. There's mandatory twice-a-week testing for on-campus students, weekly testing for remote off-campus students, daily symptom checking for faculty and staff, and weekly testing for in-person graduate students. But some off-campus virtual students are feeling restricted with the weekly on-campus testing mandate. For many, their only interaction with others would be coming to campus for mandatory testing.
I just found it a bit ridiculous and concerning as someone who lives with another student who is at risk.
UNC senior Morgan Johnson says testing off-campus students is still important as it gives a picture of community numbers.
Asymptomatic testing, especially in populations like undergraduate students, has been shown to decrease spread, especially to maybe other members of the community who otherwise wouldn't be, interacting with students. It just so happens that we live here.
Concerns include fear of exposure while on campus, inability to test due to schedule conflicts, or general inconvenience due to travel and frequency. Many off-campus students say they hope the university takes them into consideration as they make improvements to the testing system. In Chapel Hill, Jasmine Bunch, Carolina Week.
UNC took the first round of the Battle of the Blues on the court, but which school is leading when it comes to handling the spread of COVID on campus? Reporter Nick Perlin did some digging to find out for us.
After sending students home last fall, UNC has started requiring students and staff to get tested for COVID-19 this semester. Students use Hall Pass to know when and where they can get tested. Duke continues to do pool testing, a time-saving process where many samples are tested at the same time in a batch. If the batch is negative, then all samples in the batch are presumed negative.
The main difference between UNC's testing program and Duke's is at UNC, students are required to get tested a certain amount of times before a certain date. At Duke, students receive a message that lets them know when and where they need to be tested at, along with monitoring their symptoms daily on the symptom monitoring app.
Duke has conducted 134,354 tests and only had 372 positive cases since January 3rd. Last week, they had 20 total positive cases between faculty and staff. Duke senior Hannah Rubin thinks that Duke has done a great job keeping students safe.
It's really nice knowing that we're all safe, and definitely encourages us to practice like much safer behavior. And it's a really nice reassurance.
UNC currently has 725 positive cases, which is lower than last semester. UNC sophomore Andrew Harris said Hall Pass is very user-friendly.
Yeah, I think it's a really seamless experience. I really appreciate how much work the school has done to make testing an easy experience for students.
UNC has only conducted 71,898 tests, half as much as Duke despite having a larger population. According to the Duke Chronicle, Duke is now aiming to conduct 20,000 tests a week. At UNC, only students who have in-person classes have to get tested twice a week. According to UNC's media relations, Only 31% of students are taking in-person classes, meaning most students are only getting tested once a week. While UNC has done a much better job handling COVID this semester, Duke has continued to see lower cases and has conducted many more tests among students and faculty. In Chapel Hill, Nick Perlin, Carolina Week.
While there's a lot of debate in the basketball world, there's one thing that UNC and Duke fans can agree on. Today's grand opening of Wegmans in Chapel Hill is a big win for the entire community. The 99,000 square foot building on Fordham Boulevard hosts a variety of options, including the burger bar and restaurant meals to go. There will be hand sanitizer stations, plexiglass shields, and visual indicators for social distancing. The supermarket is expected to employ about 450 people, and there are still positions available for anyone interested. The store will be open each day from about 6 a.m. to midnight. A new restaurant in Carborough is already stealing the hearts of many, despite opening during a pandemic. Chef Young Nay, an immigrant from Vietnam, just opened Isa Whiskey and Eats on Main Street. Nay discovered his love for cooking after making sushi for the first time when he was just 16. Nay has opened 9 different restaurants, all in North Carolina, and he says the secret to his success is offering quality cuisine below the market value. A new bubble tea shop has found a home on Franklin Street. Emojis Tea grand opening has students lining up to try menu items including bubble tea, fruit tea, and even matcha. The restaurant joins at least 3 other businesses serving bubble tea right here on Franklin Street. In this pandemic, students can't enjoy Franklin Street and the bars the way they used to before, sadly. But an order from the governor may be the next best thing for these students. It allows for mixed drink delivery and to-go orders for residents right here and across the state. Businesses like Carolina Coffee Shop and Supdog sell a variety of mixed drinks to go with online ordering. For them, it was a much-needed financial boost. But for some UNC students, it's a safer way to enjoy a drink with a couple friends.
You can go pick up a cocktail and have it at home and not have to worry about COVID. And then also I thought it was a really cool idea to just be able to help support bars and restaurants that are struggling right now.
The governor's executive order allows for 1 cocktail to go per person over the age of 21. It's scheduled to expire on March 31st. And I've actually been able to enjoy so many of my favorite places right here on Franklin Street because of the great weather. It's been so nice just to step outside and be able to throw off the coat for a couple of days. But will the warmer weather stay here? Joseph Biacone joins us with our forecast.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is meteorologist Joseph Biacone, and we have a beautiful day out today. 62 degrees is the current temperature with mostly sunny skies, and it's only going to get better as we go on throughout the day. A forecasted high of 70 degrees for later on today. That is 14 degrees higher than the average temperature for this time of year. So get outside, enjoy yourselves, have a great time. And those freezing temperatures are fortunately behind us, but the rain is going to persist as we go on in through the weekend. As we take a look at the futurecast here, while you're sleeping early Friday morning, showers are going to move in from the south up towards Chapel Hill. Around the time you should be waking up for classes, they will persist around most of the morning into the early afternoon and move out towards the evening. Now let's take a look at the 5-day forecast. Thursday is still going to be relatively nice out. The clouds are going to move in. The temperatures are going to be around 55 degrees. And as we move into Friday, when the rain moves in, the temperature is going to dip a little bit, unfortunately. But we're going to go right back up Saturday with the rain still persisting throughout Monday. So all in all, temperatures are going to be above what they have been for the last few weeks, which is great. But the rain is going to persist, unfortunately. Back to you guys in the studio.
It's sad to see the rain coming on, but I hope we at least keep the warm temperatures like you said. Thanks, Joseph. When the university sent students home last semester, it meant many student employees lost their jobs as well. Reporter Sierra Sanders caught up with some of them to see where things stand now.
In October, the university laid off student staff from in-person jobs due to constraints from the pandemic.
From that point on, it was just managers. It was myself, Katie Reese, who was the manager of the Spencer Package Center, and then our supervisor, Joanna Luke, who's the assistant director of Package Center operations.
The UNC Package Centers were one of the only open and operational places left on campus last semester.
When students didn't return, we were sort of classified as essential employees, being that we helped deliver the mail and that kind of thing. Even when students left in August of last semester, we were still deemed essential.
The package centers helped to deliver groceries as many international students and hardship students stayed on campus after it closed. However, some student workers, like at University Career Services, could keep their jobs as they work completely virtual.
We were fully online last semester as well as this semester. Literally, like, everybody in the office is just like doing work from home. So we're just kind of sticking to like the usual like teams.
With the university starting to open back up, how will university jobs adjust?
As of now, we're planning on staying online, just because the way that the floor is set up at UCS, it wouldn't really allow for too much, like, we wouldn't be able to bring in too many people for drop-ins, for example.
Now, student staffers and university workers are feeling optimistic for this semester.
The quarantine and isolation housing that's in place with the on-site testing for students and staff, I think is really great. And hopefully that leads to just greater accountability, more transparency, and quicker action on all people's parts.
That was Sierra Sanders reporting. There's no word yet exactly what the fall semester is going to look like, but the student workers are hopeful that they'll be back on campus doing their jobs in person once again. 400 students were sent home from their study abroad programs last spring due to the pandemic, but thanks to safety protocols this spring, may be a little bit different, hopefully. There are currently 64 UNC students studying abroad across 11 countries and 30 additional students enrolled in virtual study abroad programs. Last semester, only 7 students studied abroad in South Korea and Hong Kong. One of these students in South Korea, Kyra Miles, says that she had been looking forward to the trip even before she got to college, and she wasn't going to let COVID get in the way of that.
UNC Study Abroad Department supports its students wholeheartedly. Like, especially the advisors in that department, they are so dedicated to making sure that their students have a good time abroad, especially in the Asian Study Abroad Department.
Kyra also says she took her classes online in a single occupancy dorm. Though this wasn't the traditional experience, she was so grateful just to get to go at all. Applications for the fall and summer are open now through April 1st. The computer science department at UNC Chapel Hill implemented a new class registration system this semester, and some students believe it's already off to a rocky start. Reporter Callie Kirsten has more.
Last fall, UNC computer science students received an email survey asking for the list of classes they'd like to take in the spring. The system is called 2 before 3. The idea? Give every student in the department 2 classes before anyone is allowed to register for a third. Keaton Meyer-Patel is the director of undergraduate studies for the department. He says that in previous years, seniors would take all of the computer science classes, leaving the junior and sophomores with no options.
This process will continue until everyone gets through the intro sequence and then waits until they're a senior and then has to take 6 computer science courses in 2 semesters, or less, maybe 5 in 1 semester. This is a brilliant idea that I don't think any other school in the nation is using in order to make the most efficient resources of whatever faculty resources we do have.
Yoli Maidan is a senior computer science student at UNC. He needed 2 classes to graduate, and under the system, he received both of his top choices.
Compared to other semesters, I honestly had a much better experience because all I really had to do was worry about putting my choices in order, and then the system did the rest for me. So I was kind of able to just sit back and relax until I got my matches. So it worked out for me.
But other students, like senior Rachel Tilley, say they didn't get the 2 classes they felt they were promised.
That the idea is 2 before 3, so everyone is promised 2 classes before anyone gets 3, but then a ton of seniors don't get the 2 classes they were promised. Like, that's not right, especially as a senior, because you have to graduate.
UNC student Ashley Dos Santos says she felt like the university could have done more to accommodate.
In all honesty, it was really, really difficult, like kind of a nightmare for me to register for classes this semester. Because what a lot of people don't know is that if you register with ARS, you're supposed to have priority registration. So you can better manage your condition, your disabilities, and make sure your class schedule is paced in such a way that it doesn't negatively affect you.
The department plans to keep the registration system for next semester, but acknowledges its flaws.
There were glitches, absolutely. But, it was the first time we were trying to implement it. We've learned our lessons, and we'll have to implement it again this semester. And we will find other, more smoother ways of doing so, hopefully.
In Chapel Hill, Callie Kirkstein, Carolina Week.
Since COVID-19 hit last spring, many UNC students spent their time trying out new hobbies. And as reporter Maria Cade shows us, some students turned those hobbies into a business.
While COVID-19 caused many jobs and internships to be canceled, some UNC students took time during quarantine to create their own businesses in their own homes.
Meet Marina Fela Castillo. The UNC senior is the creator, owner, and artist for Pintamar, an online business that sells handmade art on shot glasses and mugs, as well as other products like stickers, earrings, and tote bags.
I like to say that my business was like a literal happy accident, and just kind of the universe just came together.
What began as designs for her friends turned into her own business, where Fela Castillo can share her art on a larger platform. She said she launched Pintamar after being isolated at home during the beginning of COVID-19.
Getting to have a creative outlet, such as creating my own business, getting to share what I say is a piece of my soul with the customer, with the rest of the world, is really an escape from all of that.
Since she can't advertise her products in person due to the pandemic, Fela Castillo has utilized social media to share her work with her clients. Many student entrepreneurs at UNC have also taken this approach, like Prestity Jane, the founder and CEO of the Printaholic, a custom sticker shop.
It's like really hard to customize off of websites like Etsy and Redbubble and other sticker websites. So I wanted to actually start something that allows people to customize almost every sticker on my website.
Jane not only uses social media to promote her business, she also uses it for inspiration.
When Biden's "Would you shut up, man" quote came out, I made a sticker out of that. So I try to really hop on those viral trends, because everyone really loves them.
Given the circumstances, both Fela Castillo and Jane say they're thankful for the opportunity quarantine provided them to start their businesses.
I think if classes had been in person and I was still doing as many extracurriculars that I was doing previously, I don't know if I would have had the time to start this. So in a way, I'm thankful for the quarantine.
In Chapel Hill, Maria Cade, Carolina Week.
Well, it's about that time of the show where we kick it over to sports. So here to take us through the wide world of Carolina athletics is Carolina Week sports anchor Richard Atkins. Richard, what do you got on the...
Hey, how's it going, Josh? After sweeping the first series of the new year, the Diamond Heels returned to the Bosch on Tuesday for a midweek matchup against little brother Elon. Will Cindy had an amazing performance. He kicked off the game with a punch out in the bottom of the first inning. Cindy allowed just one hit and 5 shutout innings. Angel Zarate hit one to the left side with bases loaded in the fourth to plate 2 runs. Hills led 3-0. After an RBI double in the seventh for the Hills, Nick Pride took the mound in the ninth and struck out the side, giving the Hills a 4-1 victory. The surging UNC men's basketball team faces off against Marquette tonight at 7 p.m. After the blowout against Louisville and a solid victory against Northeastern, the Hills are looking for another win to improve their chances of making a big dance. With March Madness just around the corner, the team has been working hard. Coach Roy Williams said they've recently had their 75th practice, so the team isn't so young anymore. For athletes, practice makes perfect. However, when a practice facility is under construction, practice takes a unique turn. Luckily for UNC and track field team, that didn't hold one athlete back. Maya Clinch has more.
The Eddie Smith Fieldhouse opened in 2001 and housed Carolina's indoor track facilities for 2 decades. But the time came for renovations. With the facility closed since October, the UNC track and field teams were forced to practice on UNC's outdoor facilities. Senior Anna Kiefer found the biggest issue with outdoor practice, the cold.
Colder months where, that facility is really helpful to us. Right. So it was really difficult for especially the field events or the technical
aspects to our races and events.
Despite the difficulties, Kiefer overcame the obstacles and jumped a personal record of 6.38 meters in the long jump at the Virginia Tech Hokie Invitational on January 23rd. This ranked her 4th in the history of UNC track and field program and, at the time, 5th in the NCAA this year.
But totally different training cycle than I'm used to. So I was not expecting, to like perform at my highest level. Things just kind of clicked, and I felt really good, and I just kind of was able to get a personal best. So
the Eddie Smith Fieldhouse reopened for practice this past week, but after she qualified for this weekend's ACC Indoor Track and Field Championship, who would blame Kiefer if she decided to keep practicing outdoors? I'm Molly Clinch, reporting.
And that's all from sports. Josh, back to you.
Richard, always bringing the energy. Great work again, my man. UNC's FBLA and PBL club is partnering with Chapel Hill's Public Library to host a COVID-friendly book drive in the hopes of improving the county's literacy rates. The event will take place this Saturday from 10 to 12:30. The club's community service chair, Chloe Sain, says the idea for this collaboration was sparked by the difficult transition children had to make with online learning through all this.
Right now, these kids, they don't have their normal access to the public library or to their school's library. And also just with the way that schooling is going right now, I'm sure that every kid needs a book to just keep practicing on their own.
The drive-thru will help with the Orange County Literacy Initiative by providing age-appropriate books for students in kindergarten through 5th grade. The club raised $900 and will be donating 833 books for this project. With the coronavirus affecting so many parts of our lives, it's easy to forget some of the smaller things that we're used to. Things as simple as a high school yearbook. I caught up with one staff to talk about how they aren't giving up on this one-of-a-kind book.
The most outstanding year in this school's history, that's what we're here to represent.
Here at West Henderson High School, they put together one of the best yearbooks in the nation, capturing many of the great moments that happen throughout a school year. But the question is, what do you do when the classrooms are empty and the students are at home? Well, this Westwind staff says that they're going to put together a memorable book for a year that they say most people would like to forget.
Even though we can't tell a story that we want to happen, we want to be there. We take for granted that things like homecoming, prom, pep rallies, student sections, we're longing for that. We want those to happen, but we have to tell the story of how this school moves on without them.
Jason Livingston and his staff went to work on this one-of-a-kind book. With no access to their typical school events, it's pushed these students to be creative with the spreads that they can design, including one idea by senior Max Decker that you wouldn't see in a typical yearbook.
Bread making. Everybody and their brother, as soon as the quarantine hit and everything was flying off the shelves, made bread. So just things like that. We're just gonna have to be creative with some alternative coverage. There's got to be, I guess, a more personal connection with the students through this book.
Along with the creative spreads that line the inside of the book, one of the most important elements is the theme. An often debated topic throughout the year, Livingston said this year it was unanimous among all of his students. That theme, making it up as we go.
But everyone stopped, and then, I don't remember who it was, but someone clapped and said, "That's it." And then everyone in that room said, "That's it, that's the theme, that is this year's theme."
Monica Hill is the director for the North Carolina Scholastic Media Association at UNC and works closely with many of the yearbook programs across the state. When she heard the Westwind's theme, she said it couldn't be more fitting for what's going on this year.
This truly is a yearbook. They are capturing such an important time in history and just doing terrific work. The themes this year are really terrific, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do with that.
This school year has not been easy in the Wingspan staff, but they say the moment they open up those cardboard boxes full of yearbooks for the first time and crack open the first few pages, they know this book will be unlike any they've ever worked on before or will likely ever see again. I got to say, as a product of that Wingspan staff right there, it's so great to see them continue to get through this moment and see another group persevering through COVID-19. Well, that does it for this edition of Carolina Week. Thanks for watching, everybody.